Welcome to the UGO podcast. Here again with you, showing some of that geeky news, that geek speak, if you will, and who's talking that geeky, nerdy stuff with you. It's me, Nick, the Mark with the mic, and my fellow unapologist,
Travis.
And Travis, I'm excited for this episode. We are talking Telltale today.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are we talking some Telltale, we are bringing on a special guest. You know I love the special guests.
You do indeed. You keep threatening them.
Sometimes I love them a little too much. And that's what results in the restraining orders. But this one hasn't filed one yet. We're gonna have Justin Zarian on a little bit later to talk some Telltales with us. Before that, we have there's some trailers to talk about today. Not too many, but some interesting ones and some exciting ones. I know one will probably get you excited.
Ooh.
And then we got, of course, the geeky news of the week. But before any of that, we should get to the announcements because we got to do those.
Of course,
so the best part of the show. Is announcing other people's stuff.
Sure.
That's where we're best.
That makes sense.
That is where we're not talking about ourselves or our opinions. That's the best part. And with that, we always want to mention Tanner Hackle Designs designed our logo, the UGO of our logo. And it was great work that he did for us. You need some graphics design work done. He's a great option for you to check out. Isabella the Derby Dragon, on the other hand, was done for us by the lovely Kelly Main. She did some great work on the absolutely adorable Isabella the Derby Dragon. And we love her, and we love the work that she did for us. So if you hire her for some commission work or anything like that, she will absolutely do some great work for you as well. And as far as updates for the site, I am in the middle of updating the site's look and page, so it's going to be a little bit of a mess in the meantime for like the next week or so. So be looking around for that. You can also, if it's too hard to navigate, you can always go to our Facebook page or our Twitter. All our episodes are actually available to listen to from those sources as well. So bear with me on that. Our YouTube channel, we got the Let's Plays going. We're still kicking up. We have Enter the Gungeon is all up and running.
For our, so much of us playing that.
Well, it's basically me yelling fuck and shooting and trying to shoot guns while making jokes, and it's not working real good. And we've kicked up back Mass Effect Andromeda. I've gotten some editing done on that. Had to do some cut arounds for our second session of it because we lost some visual. This time we didn't lose audio. This time we lost some visuals. I had to go back and cut some stuff through. But I'm working through that. They might be shorter episodes or different varying lengths because of what I have to cut together. So a lot of maintenance getting done this week. And with that, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay.
You doing all right?
I'm kind of recovering from a cold.
Yeah, you were pretty sick over the weekend.
It was very fun.
You could only watch like 2 episodes of Game of Thrones. That's how tired you were.
I was.
We couldn't marathon it like we could have. We got to get you caught out though. It's the new season and it's almost back.
Working on it.
It's almost back. We got to get you caught up.
We're getting there.
We are making slow but steady progress, not unlike ice zombies.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we did make time to go see a movie though.
We did.
We saw Free Fire. The Sharlto Copley, Brie Larson, and Armie Hammer film. It was... I thought it was actually really interesting. It's a really interesting movie. I'm really glad it's 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like if it was a hair longer than 90 minutes, I actually would have gone from pretty liking it to probably not liking it at all. Because it keeps the characters really thin, and they're very archetypes rather than anything else, and it's much more focused on telling a story about the environment of this warehouse, which is actually more of a hindrance than the people that are shooting guns. Sharlto Copley, of course, is amazing as usual in this. I thought he was fun.
He is definitely something in this movie
as Vern. If there's one thing I could say I liked about the movie is that its approach to a firefight where everyone in the first 5 minutes of the firefight, almost everybody has a slug in them somewhere.
They get dinged.
And they're all crawling and getting needles and glass stuck in them from crawling around. And people take a lot of bullets. Like, there's not a lot of, one-shot kills in this one. So they get to run around, and it's weirdly comedic until it gets really violent towards the end. And even then, it's still pretty comedic.
Yeah.
Armie Hammer, my friend, he was an unforeseen...
He was funny.
He was unforeseen treat in this. I really liked him. I thought it was really an interesting part for him to where he should play comedies more, I think.
Yeah.
I think that seems more of his strength rather than the main action role that he was trying to do in stuff like Lone Ranger. So, I think if you're a movie buff and you're interested to see something a little bit different, it might be worth your time. If you're more of the casual movie fan, I don't think this might not do anything quite for you. But,
like we said, it's 90 minutes. It's it's good for what it does.
It is a quick ride. It's a quick jump, and you'll have your laughs along the way. I think it does its job quite enough. I know it was a quick review, but it's a quick movie to be sure. But you know what? I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. I think.
I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Yep.
Didn't really think of much, but that's just first initial reaction.
We might come back later if I think about it more. Just wanted to get a quick synopsis and review out there. But if we don't have anything other than... Oh, I should mention before I got here, we have a shit ton of conventions coming up in June. We have ASIN is going to be in May, and that's our only one in May that's going to happen. And we'll have more on that as it develops. We are going to be bringing Anime Pitch back to ASIN, and we're going to bring the anime producer back. That is for sure. I was just having a hard time with work schedules where I was not 100% on what I was going to be able to make. I am now for sure 100% on what I will be able to do, and it should be almost everything. So in June, you can look forward to us at what's it? We got man, what do we have all in June? It's crazy. We have Katsudacon's in July, right?
I think so, yes.
Oh, thank God. But we have like the Let's Play convention, the first Let's Play convention in Appleton.
That's the end of June.
And that's going to be the end of June, starting of July. And that's we're going to be special guests there. That's going to be really fun. We're going to have we're going to take a trip to Austin actually and visit Anime Austin. We'll be
another first actually.
Yeah, and we'll be doing some interviews with some Austin-based podcasters down there. I might even try and see if we can't find they do a Mystery Science Theater types thing down there called Master Pancake Theater.
Okay.
I want to see if we can go catch a live one. I'm not sure what their schedule's like, but I want to see if we can catch one while we're there. Plus, a lot of great music. There's a great music scene down there, food and stuff. It'll be a great time, and we'll do the convention thing as usual on the weekend. And I know I'm forgetting another one that we have in June.
Do we have another one in June?
Yeah, we have one more. I forget. I forgot what it was. You have to forgive me, guys. I don't have the information up on me right now, but it's I signed up for so many things in June. Too many things.
We have a third one in June. This is actually news to me.
Yeah, we should have something to do every 2 weeks in June. Every other weekend in June, almost. But yeah, more on that as it develops, because like I said, I just recently found out that my schedule freed me up for those things, and it was a little up in the air, so I didn't want to make a commitment until I knew I could do it. So yes, very exciting. But with that, should we just get into the news of the week?
Sure.
All right, let's start off with the most important, most pressing news. Jeff Goldblum, he's back. He will be back in Jurassic World, reprising his role, I believe, as Ian Malcolm.
See, I feel rather insulted because my phone put this at like the bottom of my feed. My phone felt like this wasn't important news. I'll have to train it better.
One of the producers was remarked as saying, "I'm excited to have him back. The world has changed a lot since Ian Malcolm went to Jurassic Park, and we need his point of view now more than ever. He told us about the chaos theory, and he was right." I don't think he predicted giant camouflage velociraptor T-Rexes.
I think he did.
But, yeah, chaos, convoluted, plot devices, find a way. It's chaos. I'm super excited. I don't know why. I can't actually give you a rational explanation why I'm excited for him to come back.
He's actually one of the best parts of those movies.
He is the best part about the number 2 movie, and that's some backhanded compliment because he is.
There's not much left to it.
Because there's nothing with that. I want to see if we can bring more people back. Let's bring back Sam Neill, because he'll do anything for the right paycheck. Because he was too good for Jurassic Park 2, but not for 3. Yeah, super fun. I can't wait for Chris Pratt and Jeff Goldblum to bounce off each other.
That does sound fun, actually.
That'll be a great scene. But so another great scene where 2 characters are going to have some neat chemistry. The Rock is promising a Jason Statham and Rock spin-off movie of the Fast and the Furious franchise. He's saying that yes, his character Hobbs and Jason Statham's character Deckard will actually have their own spin-off movie. At least that's what he's reported as saying.
So Fate of the Furious, 8.5.
I don't know what they'll call it. My suggestion would be Fate of the Furious Battle of the Balds. That's my suggestion. Or how much testosterone can we fit into one room? Because that was like they are so machismo onto each other in that movie. It's just like I could feel my beard growing during the scenes they shared together. Like there's just so much fucking testosterone. Like oh, show and no go. Like I will beat your ass like a Cherokee drum. That sounds vaguely sexual, and I'm okay with that. Surprisingly, me as well. Fantastic. I don't care whatever comes out of those series. I think. If you're going to make a spin-off of 2 characters, there are the exact 2 characters I would spin off.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
I'd throw Kurt Russell in there for good measure.
No, sure.
Absolutely. But here's some other sad news concerning the Fast and Furious movies, is that they might run into troubles in the writing department.
Really?
Who am I kidding? They don't even write those movies anymore. They write themselves. But some other movies might get into trouble in 2017 because we have another looming writer's strike.
Because their contract is coming up.
Yep. And they are saying that they are ready to strike again for
the writers strike back.
The writers strike back. This time it's personal. Yes, and a bunch of different studios are reacting differently to this. Obviously, it's going to shake up the Hollywood scene a little bit on it. The last writer strike we had of this type led us to stuff like Transformers 2: Revenge of the Fallen.
Can you really blame the writers for that movie? That was going to happen. Should be a shit show anyway.
But it's so bad, Travis. It's so bad. I feel like you forget how bad that one is compared to the other ones.
I didn't watch a single movie after that one.
It really is worse than all the other ones. I mean, I assume I only watched up until 3. But it's so bad. But yes, as far as superhero films, we have some different approaches here because the MCU, Marvel is saying that Phase 3 will not be affected by the writer's strike because they are actually going to shift some stuff around. They're actually going to put, they are worried about it affecting Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Avengers Infinity War, movies that are, should be past the writing phase, considering most of those are in production or in, Infinity War, the first part of it anyway, is in, they're working on it right now. I'm assuming that most of that shit's written. Like, there might be some rewrites and stuff that, on set, on site stuff, but most of it's taken care of. But Kevin Feige has spoken out, and he says that, it'll be, that if they need to, they are not afraid to push movies back in order to, focus on some script writing and might even sounds like wait out the writer's strike a little bit rather than trying to push on scripts forward.
That might be for the best if they can do it.
It probably will be, and and they said that they've seen it coming for a while now, and it has moved deadlines around. So none of the 2018 movies will be affected. Most of them are set. what would really impact is the future is just future works on deadlines. So stuff like Black Panther, Spider-Man, and anything we're getting in 2017 to 2018 is all obviously cool. But stuff like Infinity War and the Captain Marvel movie might get pushed back and might see their release dates change a little bit. DC is not in as advantageous of a position because Marvel has set up to the point where they can take a break. They can take a break of releasing one film a year if they really need to. Yeah. They could take the hit on it and not and see some loss in revenue, but I think they might. You know what? That might even work better for them.
It could give the audience a reprieve almost.
It would actually give them a sense of scarcity. Like, oh my god, like it would make people want the next one even more. They could actually work that to their advantage with the right marketing campaign. DC is not in the same camp.
Well, they barely have.
DC is struggling right now enough. And they've already have pushed back a lot of their work, has been pushed back and been written around, and everything is always being shifted depending on what the last thing that hit for them and how it worked. You know, Suicide Squad got completely rewritten and re-edited after Batman versus Superman.
Yep.
So it is up in the air as how much that's going to affect it. I would say it's going to affect it more. They will be more likely to try and push it through to meet release dates than Marvel because they can't afford to take that much time off.
Like at this point, you can't even really blame them.
No, at this point, they are up shit. If this writer strike goes on for any significant portion of time, they are up shit creek without a paddle, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, because they are not even as forward-thinking as Marvel, because Marvel at least has a set of plan, a structure that they work off of. These ones, they don't even have a plan after, like, they have Justice League, but then after that, they don't really know what's going to happen. They've already pushed back so many of their projects so far. It's really going to put them in a pretty tight spot.
A bit of a hurt locker, yeah.
I don't see that working out to their advantage at all. But as far as some other things not working out to other people's liking, the Power Rangers, some of the original actors aren't really happy with the reboot.
Do we care?
They expected they're a little disappointed. Well, the only reason I bring it up is because, well, Yost, Billy, the original Blue Ranger, was quoted as saying, "The only thing I care about progression-wise when they do a sequel and they morph, they better bring it and they better say it's morphin' time. When we said it's morphin' time, it was like shit's about to go down. When they said it in the movie, it was so lackadaisical. I was like, are you kidding me?" So yeah.
Did he actually watch the original show, or?
No, I think he has a different idea of what he wants that to be. But some of the other Rangers were talking about how the Megazord did not live up to their expectations.
Yeah, I can live with that.
And I can totally agree with that. And it's not like that film, there is problems with that film, don't get me wrong. But I think my favorite quote here is the one from, what's his name, the Black Ranger, the original Black Ranger. What was it, Zach Taylor? Yeah, Zach Taylor. And he was quoted as saying, "I was a little disappointed that they changed the characters around a little bit because I wanted Zach to be with his Keto, because hip-hop Keto was a really important element of who I was on Power Rangers." I think if they would have added that, then there could have been some parkour and there could have been some more other elements that the character, that it would have been awesome.
Wow.
Zach, I love you, buddy. You will always be the original Black Ranger to me. You are way off base with that hip-hop Keto. That was never cool. That was super cheesy and lame. But what he says about parkour, I could sort of see that, but leave the hip-hop alone. Like, that is not...
Leave it where it belongs.
There's a reason we all make fun of it, guy. Like, that's not... if they would have thrown it in there as a reference, maybe I could have seen it as a joke. Yeah. But other than that, I'm like, eh. But speaking of jokes that are having some controversial effects here, Aces of S.H.I.E.L.D., because Because apparently people are still watching that show.
Yeah, really?
Apparently it's gotten super good.
Really?
I keep hearing season 4 was like, holy shit, the show got good.
So just when you quit, essentially.
Well, I quit halfway through season 3 because I'm
Right.
and I was so bored and I was done. So I might have to go back. If so many episodes have accumulated, I don't know if I will, but I don't know, I might. I mean, Ghost Rider could be kind of cool. I don't know, me going back and forth. It's like Walking Dead all over again. Just can't quit you, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But yeah, they had an interesting speech, one of these times, to reveal Hydra, who's still kicking around apparently.
Okay.
He's revealing Hydra's true nature to the citizens of this thing called the Framework. Because apparently they're all trapped in this Matrix world. I don't know, it seems weird. Something to do with the life model decoys, I think. I don't know, I'll have to check the summary on it. But Phil Coulson took to television to deliver the following speech. Tell me if this reminds you of anything, Travis. He's quoted as saying, Hydra doesn't think we're smart enough to know when we're being fed alternative facts, to keep us afraid, to keep them in power. Remember that there are more of us than there are of them, and now that we know the truth, we have a choice to make. We have all the opportunity to be patriots. We will take a stand. Are you going to hold them accountable?
Wow.
Now, what could that be a reference to?
I don't really know.
So, with the alternative facts quoted by one of the Trump's administration's lackeys, Kellyanne Conway, this is an obvious shot in the Trump administration, and another example of how TV and media is taking it to Trump just because. Well, half of it is because he's an easy target, but the other half is just because
they don't like him.
Well, yeah, come on. When you're writing a piece of fiction, you have to go with like what's the feeling of the time, and right now there's a lot of civil unrest, so you might want to work that into your show. So, I actually give Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a lot of credit. It's an ABC show, and for them to take a political stance like that. They don't really say Trump's name, but they all but say it. So I can actually give them kind of respect for that. I like their balls on it. So yeah, I keep referring to Trump as a Hydra. Like now I just want to see a bunch of the memes where like Pence whispers in Trump's ear, "Hail Hydra." But yeah, as far as some other superhero TV shows, we got the Titans TV show is coming. Apparently.
Okay.
As well with Young Justice Season 3.
Yay.
But it'll be coming on the DC Digital Service?
Okay.
So, I guess, they have, a new live-action Titans, and the, Young Justice will be returning to, the DC's, DC Digital Service, which is, I guess... I don't know if it's going to include some of the other DC TV shows, like Arrow in them. No, they're already on the CW. They can't have those. I guess it's only going to have these. Maybe it's these two and they'll lead into more. Unless they're going to work out a deal with some of these other studios. Because Gotham is owned by Fox. Yeah. And fucking, like, their other properties are kind of all over the place now. But anyway, they have, the new synopsis and new title of Young Justice Outsiders, based off of the team The Outsiders from the comics, I would assume. Apparently, in the new season, the team faces its greatest challenge as it takes on the metahuman trafficking and terrifying threat it creates for a society caught in the crossfire of a genetic arms race spanning the globe and the galaxy.
Interesting.
Sounds like a lot of like what was the lead up from the last season where it kind of ended off.
Yeah.
So, Titans, this is going to be its second chance at trying to appear. They once had a pilot ordered on TNT that did not fly. So, this one is, I guess... this one is also coming from, I guess, Berlanti. They might mix it into even the CW verse, but it's not very certain at what this might be. It depends on what this actual digital access service is, and I don't have the right information on it yet to know what this service entails. If I need to buy a separate service rather than the CW app I already have,
right?
But I don't know, more on that as it develops. I'm just super excited to have Young Justice back in any way, shape, or form. And if I have to get a shitty live action Titans show for it to happen, sure, why not? I mean, I guess the Titans show could be cool, but
Don't get your hopes up.
yeah, I don't know.
Especially if they're gonna make it with the CW verse.
But yeah, with that, there's a couple other comic book news that I wanted to get into, but I tried to look them up because Captain America is now a Hydra agent, but for realsies this time.
Yeah, so many people are pissed about that.
But there's something about it in the storyline where it's like, wait, what? He might not be. I thought it was shenanigans with the Cosmic Cube, but apparently it's not. I don't know. I will look into it more because I wanted to look into it before the show, but I was not able to. I'll have to just go and read the comic, I guess, to figure out if they just straight up made him a Hydra agent.
I've been hearing rumors of how Marvel wanted comic book shops to dress up as Hydra agents for promotions, and a lot of people were like, "Fuck you," because Nazis are a fuck you type of topic.
The Hydra agents, they dressed up as Hydra agents from the Captain America movie where they kind of have that snake symbolism on them. I could see it, but maybe it's a poor marketing ploy. I don't know. I'm not confident in feeling one way or another about it without actually reading the comic. So I guess I'll get back to you on that. Another thing I did want to talk about is that DC might be erasing the New 52 from continuity.
Okay.
Because they brought back the original pre-52 Superman, and he is now part of the regular universe, causing them to have to rewrite most of the universe to add him in.
Okay.
So it actually makes the Justice League completely have a new history as well, because he was part of that. So they might be trying to erase the New 52 from the universe.
Why?
I don't know, because they're inconsistent. They don't want to keep with one consistent universe and make me want to actually read comics anymore. But DC Rebirth, what I've been reading of DC Rebirth has been really good, and it's been the fact that they've brought back old characters like Wally West, who knows, hey, shit is all different. Why is it all different? I kind of like that aspect of having the older characters interact and going whoa, shit got weird while we were gone. It is a little bit more interesting. So yeah, with that, I'll have to just catch up on my comic book reading, which I've been sorely lacking lately.
Now you're just a fake geek. God.
Yeah, well, it's hard when I can keep up with the TV show as well. Stuff is going on in the background. But I had Saga to keep up with, and Saga's so good. We'll have to get you the new volumes that I got because you have to catch up. I cried twice, so it was pretty bad. One's a happy cry, so don't worry.
Oh, okay, that's good.
So yeah. With that, that's all the news I had for today. So unless you had anything else, we can just go right into the trailer talk.
Yeah,
and,
I'm good.
Come back right after this. And welcome back to the UGO podcast, Trailer Talk. It's Trailer Talk time, Travis.
It is. Woo.
Oh my god, we only have two to talk about today, Travis.
Are they good?
Well, one of them has me excited.
Okay.
Because you know how much I love Kingsman, right?
You do love Kingsman? I love Kingsman.
Who doesn't love Kingsman? What monster wouldn't love Kingsman: The Secret Service? And we have Eggsy back, returning.
It's exciting.
And he's coming to America, Travis.
Is he?
Not unlike Eddie Murphy, only a little even more comedic and probably murdering more people. But yeah, he's coming over to America, and we have the first trailer. And we not only have the trailer, we have the Red Band trailer for Kingsman: The Golden Circle. So let's give that a watch.
Being a Kingsman is more than the clothing we wear or the weapons we bear.
It's about franchises.
It's about being willing to sacrifice for the greater good. I hope you're ready for what comes next.
Because the sequel's going to be rad. Holy shit!
Wow.
Is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend,
Oh, thank God we're alive. You're the only one I really cared about.
I'll state my case which I'm certain. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not. I took the blow.
What?
And did it my way.
Jeff Bridges, yes.
Oh my God. Fuck me.
Yes, so that was the trailer for Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
I want to see it.
Yep.
Like, now.
Oh my god. Okay.
When's this coming out again?
So, if I'm making a British reboot of, gritty reboot of James Bond, and I'm going to America, who do I get to represent America as agents? I get Channing Tatum in a cowboy hat.
Yes.
And Jeff fucking Bridges? Yeah. Okay. So, obviously casting geniuses.
Clearly.
So that is absolutely fantastic. I love the stunts, like the stunt work is obviously as good as it's ever been. I really enjoy the I'm glad to see that. Like, my first thought was when the Kingsman headquarters blew up, I'm like, Merlin, are you alright? And I see Merlin, like, oh, thank God. You're the only one I really, really gave a shit about. We see Halle Berry in there.
Yeah.
And she we're not sure like what she's playing, but good to see that we have some representations of people of color, because I realized that rather than Sam Jackson as the bad guy and
Gazelle,
and what's her name? Yeah, Giselle as the knife girl. We didn't really have that much representations on the agents side, so that's pretty cool. And we get his name is escaping me. Our original Galahad.
Yes.
We get Galahad back with an eye patch.
For some reason.
So I'm like, okay, is he a twin brother with an eye patch? Or are they really going to expect me to believe that the guy got shot in the face, lost only an eye, and is now back just with an eye patch?
Meh.
Because I will go with it. Just tell me which way we're going, and I'm going to go with it, alright? Because he is a great... I'm glad that they actually have him back, because it's a great relationship between him and Eggsy to have that contentious but yet really respectful kind of learning relationship.
I almost think it has to be the original then. I mean, it wouldn't work quite as well.
Well, I think if you do the brother, he might have a different teaching style.
Maybe. And
he could, be a little even more of a dick, where it's like, you got your, you were responsible, like, my brother wouldn't even been on an assignment if it wasn't for you. You don't deserve to replace my brother or whatever. You're not good enough to replace my brother.
Or it could be an evil twin.
Could be an evil, like, ooh, oh my god, if he was the villain, he had to face an evil version of him. Man, that'd be fucking rad. Actually, kind of hope. You know what? This movie, he's back. It's just him as an eye patch. But the next movie, we meet his evil twin who has an eye patch on the other side of his face.
That'd be very confusing.
Mm-hmm, yes, and they keep switching it back and forth and trying to pretend to be the other ones because they keep going undercover on each other's side.
Teams.
Other teams, yeah. Now I'm just sounds like I'm writing a Three Stooges sketch with spies. I love it. I can't wait to see what type of action they shoot this with, because it's got the same director back, Matthew Vaughn, who also did X-Men First Class. Or probably like the only other really, really top-notch X-Men film other than Logan. Days of Future Past has its moments, but he's the only one who's been able to direct that action between multiple characters very well.
Right.
And it was like, oh my god, I can't tell you how much I love that church scene in the first movie.
It's so good.
That church scene is like, oh my god, I want to sit like Michael Bay and some of these other
Bryan Singer.
Bryan Singer down and just sit here and like, this is how you shoot a kinetic action sequence while keeping things center frame to where I can see things and focus on things happening. Not
it's
just
visceral. Not
just shaking the camera around wherever just to make a point, because this is how you do that. This is how you do that.
Rub his nose in it, Nick.
Super, super excited. Obviously can't, speculate too much about the story, but obviously
cares?
they're gonna have to track down whoever blew up their own version of that. Go with the is it gonna be the American version of the Kingsman, or America has its own spy agency?
I don't know.
That's kind of like the Kingsman. I don't know. We'll have to see, but like maybe they're just CIA or something, and they're just kind of like that. Although they seem a little ridiculous to be CIA agents, because they have fucking, like, who doesn't have a goddamn cowboy hat on? Like, what the hell?
Nick, if you're trying to say the CIA agents don't have cowboy hats,
I'm just saying that.
I feel like my American history class would have lied to me then.
I mean, I'm just saying that if they had a hat, it wouldn't be as conspicuous as a 10-gallon fucking hat.
That's the only kind they sell.
But yeah, I really, really have high hopes for that movie. Hopefully it won't let me down. Should we check out our next trailer?
Sure.
Next trailer is actually a TV show on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Okay.
And it's called Blood Drive. And from what I've seen of it, it looks like it's going to be Death Race 3000, or Death Race 2000, I should say. And a mixture of that and some sci-fi, gory, bloody goodness, like Z Nation and stuff.
Okay.
So let's watch the trailer for it and see if it can't get me hyped up and get me ready for some bloody Fast and the Furious type stuff.
In the distant future of 1999, a global fuel shortage has ravaged civilization.
Nice ride.
But instead of going green,
Have you seen the engine?
we went red.
The fuck? These cars run on human blood?
Have you seen gas prices lately?
Midnight Grindhouse presents Blood Drive, a twisted new series almost too depraved for cable TV, where a violent vixen and a Ken doll cop compete against psychos in a deadly race for the...
No one cares about story. We told you that.
Yes.
What the fuck, man?
Blood Drive, where every week promises a new Grindhouse inspiration. Cannibals.
Keep them coming, Daddy.
Monsters. Cults. Lawmen. Nymphos. And Amazons.
Why are hot girls always so mean?
First, you'll question your eyes, then your sanity.
My God, it's disgusting!
Gentlemen, ladies, lunatics,
Racist to your mark!
feed your engines. Blood Drive.
Good show. Loved the ending.
So yeah, that was the trailer for Blood Drive, the new sci-fi series. I can appreciate some of the things about this trailer where it recognizes that this is going to be a trashy fucking show.
Yeah.
So you better buy into that, otherwise just fuck off. The guy, just killing one of his boardroom members just because it's like, and the guy's like not even like, you're like, what the fuck?
Why would you do that?
That's so rude. Human cars run on human blood, and apparently Wilhelm screams.
Yes.
So that is super funny to me. Hopefully they could actually, a smart show could actually do some stuff with that premise to be like, hey, maybe some humans are more fuel efficient than other humans, or something or other, or maybe there's a segment of the population that donates blood to have the cars run rather than just murdering people. But it also introduces the crazy stuff like Amazons and cannibals, and I'm like, cannibals don't even make sense because then you're just eating your fuel source. Like, that's just making two resources into one very consumable resource.
Not if you drain them first.
Oh, you know what? You're right, because if you drain, because they run just on the blood rather than shoving a whole human body into an engine. How does an engine have a mouth?
It has a rotating mouth.
That is weird. Yeah. This looks absolutely terrible and probably nigh unwatchable, and it's on the Sci-Fi Channel, so it's going to be bullshit. So I'll probably only watch the first 2.5 seasons.
There's something wrong with you.
I can't help it, okay?
I think you can, you just don't want to.
Little column A, little column B. I gotta at least watch one episode of this.
Fine.
I gotta give it one. Maybe we'll do a commentary on it. That might actually be kind of fun.
Maybe.
I think that this might
Let me just say, me watching one does not commit me to watch the rest.
No, I won't hold you to that. I won't make you sign the contract in blood.
Good.
Because I need it for my moped.
Obviously.
I'm going to need that blood, so you can't sign it. But use your sweat instead, or some other bodily fluid.
Won't even go there.
Yeah, leave that joke on the table. Just leave it there. Leave it there. Semen. But with that, I don't really have anything else to say about Blood Drive other than it could be a hidden gem. Who knows?
It's not.
It's probably not. But I appreciate that level of not giving a shit. I can respect it on some level.
Yeah.
So with that relatively short trailer talk, should we just get into our main subject? Should we just call Justin and get him on to talk some Telltale with us?
Let's do it.
All right. And we'll be back right after this small musical break. See you then.
Was it for redemption? Was it for revenge? Was it for the battle? Was it for the ledge? Was it for the thrill of pushing my heart to the edge? Why did love put a gun in my hand? Why did love put a gun in my hand?
And welcome to the UGO podcast. And oh boy, I'm so excited, Travis.
Are you?
Yes, I am so excited. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite video game franchises and / companies, kind of. I guess actually they're
kind of a combo, isn't it?
Actually, they're a company that basically deals in multiple franchises, and I think about it. But yes, we're going to be talking about Telltale, and most of my experience has been from the more recent Telltale verse, from the 2012 release of The Walking Dead onward. So I thought I'd bring on a ringer, if you will, someone that's a little more versed in even the plethora, the oeuvre, if you will, of the Telltale series. So I started to bring Justin over, steal him away from the We Are Error crew, the guys we cross over all the time. Justin, you want to say hi?
Oh, sorry, I pressed Y for silence. What was the question again?
You pressed Y for silence. No, pick the snarky remark, Justin. Always go snark.
Press B for sarcastic answer.
But yes,
dang it, shoot.
But yes, Justin, would you like to tell the people about yourself and your experience over at the We Are Air Cruise? Because you do a lot of the reviews for the Telltale series, the Telltale games over there, don't you?
Yes. So for those that don't know, I work a lot with oneofus.net, which is run by Chris Cox. So then, for the most part, I write their subscriber podcast, The Breakfast Pub, where we do weekly updates on everything news related for like movies, TV, and that such. And then I kind of wormed my way into the We Are Error stuff when it's like, oh, you guys do Telltale games? I know a thing or two about Telltale games. And so I've been on most of their Telltale reviews, and then I've also done like Battlefield 1, and most recently with you, we talked about Mass Effect. So.
Indeed, and that's where we met, and I realized that I like this guy, probably because he agreed with almost everything I was saying all the time, and I like that in a person, where they recognize...
Yeah, we gave it different scores.
Oh, so that's why you want to replace
Well, you couldn't have gotten everything right, Justin. It's fine.
Yeah.
I couldn't expect that all from you. But yes, Travis, meet your inevitable replacement. I feel like that's definitely a thing that's going to happen at some point.
There's a problem with that. I disagree.
You disagree?
Yep.
That's what keeps that's what keeps you fresh, my friend, and that's what keeps me on my toes. You know what? You can stick around.
Oh, good.
You live another day. Another day.
I should have thought that through better.
But yes, I greatly enjoy the Breakfast Pub as well. It's very well a tight run podcast, so that's probably a lot due to that writing. So that's pretty cool. I greatly enjoy the We Are Error podcast, as any of the listeners know. We have them over enough. And I greatly enjoy the Telltale episodes because that is a great franchise to talk about too.
Yes.
So yeah, let's get into it and talk about it a little bit, because I find Telltale's metamorphosis, if you will, very fascinating as a company. And because I've come in so late, I actually have not played the games like the Sam & Max games. I actually have not played almost any of the Sam & Max games. I think I played one episode. I know, and now that we're running Let's Plays on our YouTube channel, I'm thinking that those might be some good Let's Plays to do.
Could be.
But we have such a back catalog on games we will actually want to play for the Let's Plays. So, but the Telltale games are easier because they're really digestible. Because for those of you who haven't played the Telltale games before, they specialize in, I guess what you...
Interactive stories.
Interactive storytelling. Well, it's kind of like it's the evolved form of point and click adventure series.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It's essentially a movie that you press buttons occasionally, so...
Yeah, that's a pretty fair description. And they made their early fame with games like, of course, Sam & Max, the Tales of Monkey Island, a great cult classic. They more recently got into the franchise game with games like Back to the Future and Jurassic Park, and they even made a Law and Order game. Did you know that they made a Law and Order game?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, very interesting.
So yeah.
But they did make it big with The Walking Dead. That's where I think most people know them from, where they actually got on the map, where it was like, whoa, what is this? You can kind of choose your own writing as much as it's not just as much choosing your own adventure as choosing the dialogue. It's like you're the punch-up dialogue writer.
You're choosing the actual spoken narration.
Mm-hmm. How I like to think of it is that it's kind of like the same thing that BioWare does with its games like Dragon Age and Mass Effect, where it's that you have some control over the narrative, but it's more like you are an overarching producer on a TV show. Where,
you're the director, essentially.
Yeah, you're the director. So you get a bunch of options from your writers, and then you pick, like, this is the one that works for this show, and then you kind of go with it. And I feel like if you approach those games like that, it really hits that sweet spot for me of interactivity versus actual really clever writing. So yeah, Justin, I would like to ask you a little bit about the earlier games and how it compares to the more recent ones, since you've actually played more of the more recent ones. So walk us through your history of the Telltale series.
Okay, so I actually started like at the very beginning when Sam & Max Season 1 came out. And the thing is, you have to know about Telltale games is that we've seen the formula that they've established now since Walking Dead, but early Telltale games were much more classic point and click. Like, you had stuff where you walk around, go across different settings. It was a more controlled environment to the point where it kind of emulated old LucasArts games. But you can see where Telltale was flavoring their little touches with their dialogue choices and such throughout it. But there weren't any choices. There weren't any like actual like carrying decisions. It was just one long narrative that you just occasionally did funny dialogue with, or for Back to the Future, you'd play with the narrative there. Jurassic Park was the one where they really started to experiment with the interactive, action-y kind of Telltale formula. And that one didn't really work, in my opinion. I can go into that much later, but it was a very haphazard game. But then Walking Dead was the one that really, if not perfected the formula, it set in place everything we know about Telltale's story. I mean, gameplay-style storytelling. Because that's the one that introduced all the dramatic decisions that carry over. It introduced the time limit for choices, more so even than Jurassic Park. And it really introduced people to the way they write characters, the way they write dialogue. Because I would say that for Telltale is that having played their games, even in their weakest games, they understand character-based writing better than most any studio out there, even BioWare. They really know how to get into people's heads and tailor dialogue for them. Where even characters in Game of Thrones, for as much as I was kind of lukewarm in that game, I liked all the characters from the get-go in that game. So, yeah, I mean, my experience is just that I've been there ever since, and I was mostly interested when I played Sam & Max, but then Walking Dead was the one that really cemented me into, like, yeah, I'm a Telltale diehard.
Yeah, and just to go to your point on Jurassic Park, that's also one of the few earlier ones that I've played, and Jurassic Park is definitely the game where it feels like a workshop game where it's like they're really working things out, and it feels much more like like their beta for like what their other games would actually be. I would actually be interested to see if they would go back and tackle a Jurassic Park game again, what they would do now that they have the formula down.
After the really dumb plot decisions they made in that game, just to try and make characters move forward, I don't think they should even touch that anymore. It's just like, okay, it's done, leave it alone.
Let me pitch it like this. They do it in the Lost World universe, Jurassic Park Lost World, but they do it Borderlands style where everything is a super hyped up joke.
Oh boy.
They get Nolan North to voice Chris Pratt's Raptor Hunter character, and we take it from there. There's another incident.
Jurassic World, not Lost World. I thought you were thinking like they should
No one should make a game about a Lost World.
That's what you did say, though.
That's right. Jurassic World, not the Lost World.
A Telltale game set in Lost World would be very inconclusive and very illogically suited for this thing.
The Lost World is a lost cause, that's for sure. If life finds a way, shitty sequels find a way. But
I want to see if you have like a choice option for that life. Where it's like life, and then you decide which way he ends that sentence.
I would love Jeff Goldblum's dialogue wheel. It would just be a bunch of ums and ahs, and it would just be like, and one of them would just be that little laugh that he has.
That's instead of the silence option. It's just Jeff Goldblum laugh.
And chaos, and that's with that. We understand. He's like, God damn it!
That sounds like that's making a much better game than a movie.
How do I have?
He is being cast in the new Jurassic World movie, so there you go.
I know, I'm so excited about that. I don't know why I'm so excited about that. I feel like I shouldn't, but I am. But yes, that was definitely their workshop zone, and then they did get that formula much more down in The Walking Dead. So with the earlier stuff though, you played Tales from Monkey Island, right?
A little bit. That's one I haven't delved as much into, but I got a good flavor of it from the first episode or two.
Oh, okay, because that's another black mark on my gaming history that I've not played Tales from Monkey Island. I own it. I bought it on a PS Plus sales at somewhere down the line for like $3. So I will eventually play it, but I always hear such good things about it.
Yeah, those are funny games, and that's just the heritage of the Monkey Island series, so they usually have pretty good comedy writing throughout kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And then before we get into the very narrative-heavy ones that I want to get into, let's talk about Poker Night at the Inventory.
I love it.
I love it so hard.
They should really make more of those.
I want them to make so many more of them. For those of you who don't know what Poker Night at the Inventory is, it's their Texas Hold'em game, but they make it to where you play with a bunch of the characters from different properties. I think in the first game it was one of the Penny Arcade guys.
Yeah, it was Tycho. It was Strong Bad, and then Max, and who's the fourth character? It was the Heavy from Team Fortress.
Yes, and I only played that one slightly. The one I really played though was the second one, Poker Night at the Inventory 2, which has Brock Sampson from the Venture Brothers, fucking Claptrap from the Borderlands game, Ash from Ash and the Evil Dead, and Sam from Sam and Max. And to kick it all out, and to sweeten the pot, if you will, is GLaDOS from Portal is your fucking dealer, is your card dealer in that game.
Which is brilliant.
That is amazing. Oh, yeah. That is fucking amazing. And like Claptrap has a crush on her.
Of course he does. He has no self-preservation.
And that is fantastic, because every time I play a Telltale game or a BioWare game, I always say like, man, I wish I could just play cards with these guys and just shoot the shit with them all the time, because that's like my favorite parts of these games. And lo and behold, they did that. They made that for me. In both games, because there's multiple, like in Mass Effect and Dragon Age, you can also do a card playing mini game. It's like they know what they're doing. They know what's up. But yeah, you can have little dialogues in between them. People tell different stories. Brock and Ash will swap best kill stories and crazy shit like that. It's a great fun time if you want to go play it.
Yeah, I think my favorite bit was where Ash's hand starts tapping, they realize it's in Morse code, and you find out what the message is. You're just like, oh, your hand's been possessed by an advertising firm.
Oh, love it. But yeah, with the narrative stuff though, let's start with the thing that really kicked it off, which was The Walking Dead. Now Travis has not played all the Telltale game series like I have. Since The Walking Dead, I played all of them. Well, almost all of them. I haven't. Me and Kyle are in the middle of a Minecraft story mode playthrough, so that's not quite done yet. But Travis, this is the one that I forced you to play.
Yes, you did.
I kept pestering you about The Walking Dead. I'm like, dude, you gotta play The Walking Dead. You gotta play The Walking Dead. You love BioWare and that type of storytelling. You gotta play The Walking Dead. And it got to a point where I just sat you down like, look, play it on my system and I'll watch you play it.
There might have been a gun involved. I kind of have flashbacks. I don't remember correctly.
You clicked the right dialogue wheel, so I didn't end up having to use that. But yeah, the first Walking Dead game, cause me and Travis, it was not long ago that we actually, played it, and we replayed it, and I was surprised. I'm like, man, this still holds up as really good, some really good storytelling.
Some of the shooting, like the actual, action gameplay, didn't hold up quite as well, though.
Yeah, they've never really, some games do it better than the other ones, but that's always been their weakest element, is the actual interactive
actual
parts.
gameplay.
Well, and that's the thing, is that their engine's not built for action. They keep trying to adapt it, but the problem is, too, they won't upgrade their engine. They only stick to this one format because that's the way they can get it to play on all the systems, including mobile systems like iPads. You know, it's the only way they can do it is with this one mechanic that they've done since Sam and Max, pretty much.
Yeah, and I get that on one level too, because switching systems is always a pain in the ass, and switching engines and stuff. Like, look at what happened with Andromeda. They had to switch up their engine to the Frostbite engine, and it looked like that really bit them in the ass. Although, wait, no, because Dragon Age Inquisition was also on the Frostbite engine. Yeah, I don't know why that game fucked up.
There's a lot of issues with Andromeda that has nothing to do with the Frostbite engine, I think.
Yeah, well, it was one of, I think, many factors that we will not know until we have way down the line when we have all the backstory and stuff. But as far as the Telltale series, it's interesting to me how they are really innovative in their storytelling, but in their technology, they are so resistant to move forward. And nowhere is that more apparent in their most recent of games, especially the Batman game, where if you didn't wait for the patches, it was a really hard experience to play. And yeah, but The Walking Dead, playing it even after all the patches and stuff come out, sometimes that game still glitches a little bit to where it doesn't. It's like, I moved the analog stick, like when you told me to move it, and the game's like, no, you didn't. Like, no, I did. No, you didn't. You're dead. But yeah, as far as the storytelling, it's very interesting because these games, along with like games like Until Dawn and the BioWare games and anything that really has a choice system, it's all about the illusion of choice because you are going down the same narrative. You have to end up at the same beats. But depending on what you choose, the context of those choices can be different. And your relationships with people can be different. You can have a more contentious or a more buddy-buddy stuff with certain characters. So it depends, because their replayability, it hurts a little bit because you realize that how much your decisions ultimately didn't matter that much. But the dialogue that you missed out on that between characters and getting a chance to hear jokes, like say in Borderlands, jokes you didn't get to hear, actually makes some of those games more replayable.
Well, I still remember the fact that when you forced me to play the first Walking Dead, it had been, you were watching me play it, which is again not the first time you've played it. And I remember because I was playing it, I pretty much was an asshole to most of the people the whole entire time. And at like the very, very end, where it's up to like if they want to stick with you or not, you were super pissed at me because they all stayed.
Because you were way more aggressive with them, and everyone went with you, and no one went with me. No, wait, that's not true. What's his face?
The useless kid.
Useless kid went with
Ben or something.
Ben, yeah, he would want to go with me. I'm like, just stay behind Ben. It's fine.
And you were so mad at me.
Well, it was surprising because normally I was like, Mao, you've made a lot of the same decisions as me, except for very key ones, like whether or not to kill this guy that just had a heart attack. Which, man, that's a great scenario that the show has never like done that. And the game, in my opinion, like all the episodes of the Walking Dead video game, all of them, even the Michonne one, which is not as good, are better than most of the episodes of the actual TV show.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, you with me on that, Justin?
Oh yeah, well, and that's the thing that particular moment, especially the choice with Larry, where you have to decide whether you kill him before he reanimates or see if you can resuscitate him. That was the one moment that won me over completely in the game, because it was such a shock either way you choose. Where it's like, oh, on the one hand you can do this horribly dickish move that's so heavy, or on the other hand you try to do the right thing, and then the game goes, nope, and just kills him right there on the spot.
Sucks to be you.
That was the part where my eyes bugged out. I'm like, okay, that was a bold move, Telltale, and that was awesome. And you never get that reaction from the show because they mute everything so much on the show. So it's like, yeah, here it's not as gratuitously gory as the show is with all the blood effects, but it's more investing in that regard too.
Well, yeah, it is interesting because they bring up questions that you never thought about before, like what if someone has a heart attack and needs resuscitation? Like how do you perform CPR on them? How long do you perform CPR on them? Because you're running that risk of them
zombifying
turning at any point.
In your face.
So it takes a already stressful situation of someone going into cardiac arrest and piling on stress on top of it. And in a scenario where the daughter of that person is there and you're dealing with other characters who have their own agendas, and it's like, God damn, like it's a really tense situation that really questions you on what would you. It really puts you in that situation of like, what would you do in this situation, and how would you justify it? And what's interesting about the Walking Dead games specifically is that most games that in the choose your own adventure thing, like the BioWare games, always go that they treat you like whatever you choose, it ends up being the right decision.
Yeah.
They always go like, yeah, that worked out for you. Sometimes stuff will bite you in the ass in the BioWare games, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But most of the time, it's like, no, you totally made the right call, no matter like what you do. Like some character will go up like, yeah, that was a tough decision, but you know what? You made a decision, a leadership call, and I can respect you for that. The Walking Dead, it's almost like no matter what you choose, it's always the wrong decision. It's always the wrong one. Like, no matter what you choose, someone is super pissed at you.
And someone's dead.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit hyperbolic in some degree, but it does make you feel like there's a weight to each decision. It's not just, like, even if you realize that it's going to circle around and negate the decision in some way, you at least feel like, oh man, I really, really, really have to think about what I'm doing here. And sometimes it'll only give you 5 sequends to decide, so that's what makes it even more intense.
Oh yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love it. And I love that time limit of like, oh yeah, you have a really complicated moral quandary. Oh, and you have 5 seconds to make it.
Go.
Go. Oh my god.
Well, that was another thing I actually really liked in the Walking Dead series, is that some of the characters who I had a completely different relationship than you did.
Yes, you had a way different relationship with Kenny than I did.
Yes.
And
because I realized right away that Kenny was a flaky fuck.
Yeah, I had a way more buddy relationship with Kenny up until the end where we had this big falling out. And you had more of a contentious relationship with him, and it ended up culminating in a point where you actually kind of mutually respected each other at the end.
Yep.
So we actually had a weirdly different character relationship and development with mostly the same dialogue and events that happened. So I found that very fascinating. But yeah, Justin, what was your relationship with Kenny?
Well, for me, Kenny is, for one thing, the biggest hurdle I had with his decision was an error that was in the game where if you chose one certain dialogue that seemed like the reasonable option, Kenny will take that as a dick move and react harshly to you no matter what. So I'm like, okay, that was kind of weird. But aside from that, from a limitation of the game, Kenny, Lee is obviously the single best character in that game, but Kenny is the most complex character because he's unpredictable. He has such a different reaction to the way that things happen to him or happen to other people, especially when you realize, oh, well, literally everyone else is secondary to his son and his wife.
Right.
And even then, sometimes you wonder how much they actually matter to him when things get really rough. And that's what makes him so fascinating. He has really unique motivations compared to, say, some of the later characters they introduced in the game, like the hobo dude, where it's like, I don't even know why they even bothered bringing him in the first place. But
because we need another body in case we run into zombies, basically.
Pretty much. They're just like, hey, wouldn't that be cool to meet a hobo on the way? That'd be awesome. But yeah, like it's the thing that Kenny's really cool. I think they kept him around a little too long in the series overall, but I do like that they found new stuff to do with him every time. So.
Well, I love the fact that Kenny is a likable dude and he's a realistic guy that is a very emotional character and lets his emotions run away with him to the point where eventually you kind of come to a point where you realize this guy is not reliable. I don't know where he's going to fall in any situation, and I can't trust him. I can't trust this guy. At least for me, that's where I ended up on him, and I found that very fascinating and kind of heartbreaking because we really had a buddy relationship in the beginning episodes.
You found that out way later too.
Yeah, and I just really found him like, man, I like you and everything, but I just can't trust you because I don't know when you're going to come down on my side or when you're going to have my back and when you're not. And that's really fascinating that the game can keep me guessing like that. And it continues on into games such as I think what was their next title that they had was actually, well, their next one was actually Poker Night 2 was right after that, which is a great 1-2 punch.
I had one comment they made about The Walking Dead though.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I really like about Telltale, and it really manifested in The Walking Dead, is that they clearly listen to their fan base, and the fan base will often point out things that they probably didn't consider developing, because there was a running gag throughout that first season where Carly has trouble trying to put batteries into a radio, and they realized how much they made an error with that they constantly rewrote new jokes in. It's like, oh, by the way, did you realize that there was batteries in this? It's really cool. You see it throughout their games that they know how to react to what fans think about certain characters, certain story decisions. It's really cool.
Yeah. Oh, and as far as the ending of the Walking Dead, I won't spoil it, but wow, a very powerful ending. Probably one of the most powerful endings in a video game I've actually ever seen. I think the only thing that's compared to it is that Last of Us has a very similar type feel. But even then, I don't think I cried as hard because I was in the Walking Dead is like, if you're not crying by the end of that one, it's kind of like, it's heartbreaking, but yet uplifting in a way too, to a point where the show never got that way. The show is just unrelentingly depressing. And even in the game where it's depressing, it's actually beautiful in a way too. Where like when two characters ultimately have to say goodbye to one another. And, and as far as best side characters or best sidekicks ever, Clementine, all the way. Clementine is an amazing character. I've loved watching her grow for these games as well. But they don't switch up their style for their next game as much though, because the next game was The Wolf Among Us. It's also a dark type game based off of the Fable graphic novels, which are some great graphic novels. I'd highly recommend checking them out. They're basically it's basically like Once Upon a Time or Grimm. Like it's what those shows ripped off to make.
Well, in fact, Once Upon a Time was supposed to be Fables. They actually it was supposed to be a Fables TV show, and Disney went, nah, we don't want to do that anymore. So.
Yeah, and they totally fucked Bill Willingham out of it, or at least that sounds like that's what they did. Because we'll just do it with our characters because then we don't have to use the rights or whatever. But yeah, The Wolf Among Us is a noir detective story starring the big bad wolf trying to solve a murder and trying to solve like this sinister presence in Fabletown where all the fairy tales are hanging out. And you meet characters like Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk and Jack and Jill, and you meet Snow White and we have even the little pigs that I love that the little pig is one of the three little pigs is crashing at the big bad wolf's house. It's like, come on, man, you owe me. Like, oh, fuck you. And it's a real fun time. What did you think about The Wolf Among Us, Justin?
Oh, I love The Wolf Among Us. I actually, I did some kind of preliminary fan fiction writing back in the day, because, yes, I'm a super nerd that way, where I kind of explore The Wolf Among Us's general conceit in some other story beats. And it's a really well thought out story for something that I didn't really know anything about Fables before that. Like, I never read the comic. I didn't know really it was a thing. But playing the game, and a thing that Telltale usually does really well in their games, you feel like you understand the world as soon as you play it. They give you everything you need to know, like, this is what's happening, this is the history of the characters, go with it. And that's really what they did. They made a great character out of Bigby. They had a lot of great supporting characters, like Snow White, the Huntsman, or the Woodsman. He's a really fun kind of little semi-bad guy, semi-friend kind of relationship. And they actually made the mystery compelling. They actually made you want to get invested in it, because it's like, oh yeah, really don't know what's happening until literally like the second to last episode, like, and near the end of it too. It makes you really feel involved in the world, and it's a really entertaining game too. Because one thing, like even with Walking Dead and some of their darker games, Telltale knows how to put good comedic beats in these kind of games. And there's lots of these moments in Wolf Among Us where something's happening and they'll just say the right line or the right joke. You're just like, okay, whew, relieving the tension right there. And then moving on to the other dark and grisly thing.
Mm-hmm. I feel like from the comics, Snow White is a little bit of a different character. Like, she's a little more unsure of herself. It's kind of like her origin story. Because in the comics, she's actually much more of a leader in a leadership role. And she is not as indecisive as she seems to be. And also, Bigsby seems a little more sympathetic. Like, he's not in the comic. He's kind of straight up a dick. And in the game, you can play him a little more sympathetic and empathetic to other people. And I kind of appreciate that. Actually, it helps you like him more as a main character. As far as that game goes, I think that one also has a really neat resolution where a lot of your decisions do come in at the end at this kind of final, what do you call it? Like this judgment type, meaning you have to make a big decision at the end of the game, and it kind of involves everyone in the town that you've interacted with. And depending on how you've interacted with them, they put their 2 cents in and whether they back you up or not. And it's kind of a cool feeling to have everyone that you helped out kind of, hey, you know what? I'm not really sure what to do here, but Bigby had my back, so I'm gonna go with Bigby. So it's a neat little, lizard brain, appeasing, your reward for doing good in the game is like, yay, I have friends now, which is nice. But yeah, that one actually ranks super high on my list of the Telltale games. I think like nothing will quite beat the first Walking Dead for me, just because that relationship between Clementine and Lee I don't think has quite been beat yet in any of the games. But I think Wolf Among Us is a strong contender for like the second spot. And Travis, you played a little bit of Wolf Among Us. I don't think you finished it though. Did you?
For some reason, never went back and did the final episode, which I don't know why I haven't done this.
Well, we should talk about.
I don't know. I just for some reason never did.
How the second episode, how the second to last episode ends, where it just ends where you can just light up that cigarette, which is I feel like how everyone ends that episode, where they light that cigarette and just cuts to black. I'm like, how do you not want to play the next episode right after that?
It's actually kind of a good ending for like a not ending.
Yeah, it actually leaves you in a place where I'm like, ooh, it's all possibilities for you. Like, you don't know what happened.
Yeah. But overall, I did like the game a lot. A lot of the characters were super interesting. It made me really want to read the actual graphic novel.
Mm-hmm. Which I have the first couple of volumes here. I should let you borrow those.
It's great. Yeah, it's very good.
It's some good shit right there. Yeah, and we should talk about like because their release schedules are a little bit weird.
It's a tricky issue with that one. So
because it's like they label them here like, oh, these episodes were bi-monthly, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I guess. Kinda, sorta. Like if you split up the time and release like, oh, well, over this course of months it came out every 2, but they'll release like in the most recent one, like the Walking Dead, the Last Frontier, they released the first 2 episodes like within a month of each other. And then we had to wait like...
they released at the same time, weren't
they? They released at the same time, right? They dropped them at the same time? Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they were...
And then we had to wait like 3 months or something for the next one. And then now we're getting 2 within like a couple weeks of each other. Like, I forget when the third one came out, but they're really close to each other. Now they're releasing 2 games at a time with Guardians of the Galaxy and The Walking Dead as well, which... they did with, I think the Borderlands and the Game of Thrones game did the same thing. Because now they have an A and B team, which is, it's never good when you have a designated B team, where it's like, you get to do this thing, which is not as high of a priority, I think.
Well, and it also seems like the A and B team switch off per episode, because you'll notice sometimes where like, some episodes will have a lot of unique and big, open-ended decision-making and storytelling decisions, and then some of their episodes will kind of just be like, episode 4 of Batman, just go through it, you'll get to the 5th one eventually, kind of thing. It's really weird, their scheduling for that stuff. And I think I get the feeling that they really work off the seat of their pants for a lot of these episodes. Just like, okay, just as soon as we get it published out, we're working on the new episode. We have to make the changes. We have to address what we wanted to do. We have to change whatever feedback we've got from the fans, and then hopefully we'll get it done eventually. That's what it seems like their scheduling decisions are like for me.
Well, as far as I've played them, I feel like the Telltale games, their first episode and last episodes are always some of their best stuff. Like most of the games open up really strong with a good first episode, and then they end really strong with a like, oh, okay, my decisions did make a difference. This did have a bunch of resolutions and stuff, and then like, cause, normally it's a 1 through 5, but 2 to 4, like the episodes 2 to 4, it's kind of a mixed bag and a crapshoot of whether or not, like, it depends on the game whether or not how effective and how plot moving they actually are.
Yeah.
Cause, sometimes you'll get a really heavy, like, episode 2 and it'd be like, oh shit, like things really, really did get accomplished, and then sometimes it's like, you'll get an episode 2 of like the Last Frontier or the New Frontier, where it's kind of like, this is all right, but it feels like we're just setting up for the next episode more than we're focusing on anything here. No, not this last one. The third one was really good.
Yeah.
The number two I thought was a little more peace moving and not as much actual stuff happening.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. And I felt like it's usually either the third episode or especially the fourth episode of any given Telltale game that feels like that. Like even Walking Dead Season 1, like I like almost everything about that, but episode 4 had the most slow moments where it's like, okay, they introduced some of the more uninteresting characters, they had some of the more unremarkable story moments, but it's all setting up for this huge moment that happens episode 5. So it's weird. You'd think like they would put all their eggs into the penultimate basket, but I guess second episodes usually work out better for them in the long run.
Well, if I want to relate it to Game of Thrones, which we'll be talking about a little bit with their games, it's kind of like Game of Thrones seasons of the TV show. Their strongest episode's always the penultimate, the second from last one. Like that's where all the really fucking awesome shit happens, like the big plot twist and all that stuff. And then their last episode is always like this
falling action
and like setting up for the next season episode. So it's like, I think it's where they want to put their emphasis, is that they want to, start strong and end strong to, they want to start strong to sell those season passes to get those people in and hooked. And then they want to end strong to get people hyped up for the next season of whatever franchise it is. And you feel that more or less in some of the games. And, we'll talk about their next release, which is actually The Walking Dead Season 2. I thought it was actually the Borderlands came out before that, but no, it was actually Season 2 came out relatively quickly. In Season 2, I don't know about your feelings in Season 2, Justin, but man, I really like The Walking Dead Season 2. I don't think it doesn't reach the same heights as number 1 did for me, but it did some really interesting stuff. And I thought having Clementine being the main character was actually an interesting and decision, and really flowed within that narrative of like Clementine growing up and that sort of thing. What were your thoughts on Season 2, Justin?
I am very mixed on Season 2 because I have a few key problems with why I don't love it as much as everybody else does. The first being that why I like Clementine as main character. The reasonings they give for why she does everything in the game, where it's like, oh yeah, Clementine, do this. Clementine, accomplish this big task. When all these adults are standing around acting like morons, watching her do this, it's never given good weight. It's just like, okay, well, she's doing it because she's the main character.
See, I always bought that, because even in Season 1, we had her do stuff for us as Lee, because everyone else was useless. Everyone else could not be counted on.
Lee was competent, because that's my other problem with the main thing with Season 2 is that I didn't really like any of the supporting characters in that one. Like, they were okay, but no one stood out as being a really memorable character. Like, the fact they had to bring back Kenny to make it more interesting kind of is indicative of how forgettable Luke and the pregnant woman and her husband and all this other stuff were just so bland, so uninteresting to me.
They do feel kind of like placeholder characters.
Yeah.
And it's interesting we don't get, like, what's her name? The, pregnant lady that actually lost her baby in the first episode, where Clementine loses her. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I was super surprised she did not come back after that opening sequence.
Yeah, that's weird that they don't carry over, like, we never see Molly again, we never see Krista again, we never see, like, there's a bunch of people that they tease big things for, and then they're just like, oh yeah, did we do that? I don't remember anymore. It's odd decision making.
Sometimes it's like, oh, well, depending on your decisions, some of those people can be dead and some of them can be alive. So I get why in, like, season 3 they're a little coy about wanting to say, like, hey, where's Kenny? Or Molly, or whatever her name was.
Kenny they answered definitively for that one, so.
Okay, well, in my playthrough, I ended up sticking with, what's her name?
Jane?
Jane, or younger Carol, I guess I called her.
Man, Jane, I don't even want to talk about that in the sense that what they did in that season to end Jane's story is so stupid, the way they executed it. Okay, we'll save that for when we get there, but...
Well, I don't want to spoil it for Travis, because I know, like, we might do a Let's Play of Season 2.
You mean you'll force me to do a Let's Play of Season 2?
Yeah, I want to get through Season 2. But, as far as that ending goes, I actually get it from a certain perspective, because the main idea is I need to prove to Clementine that Kenny can't be trusted. And I sorta get it. Although... It's a lot of putting your eggs in the, I'm going to trust this little girl to make the decision I hope she's going to make basket. Because, I'm going to piss a lot of people off with this decision I'm going to make. And,
oh, no, not that
so
ending.
on one level,
in season 3, but yeah, so.
Oh, and season 3's ending. Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't play it.
Story in that one.
Oh, did they do something for Jane's story? I must have missed it, because I've been playing season 3 and I'm like, hey, where's Jane? Like, they never answered it for me. They've treated it like
there's a giant flashback sequence where they answer pretty clearly if you stay with Jane in season 2, they answer that very clearly in season 3.
Oh man, my game must have fucked up, because I did stay with Jane in season 2, and, they treated it like I didn't. I got the flashback where Clementine was alone.
Okay, that's weird. Yeah, I've heard a couple people that happened to them. Like, I think Chris Herman had that problem on We Are Error. But yeah, no, there's an official ending, and that's the one that I had a problem with. Like, the thing with Kenny, that was kind of dumb reasoning too, but it didn't bother me as much as what they did there in season 3.
Man, so now I'm gonna have that to look forward to, as they fucked up. Damn it, I kinda liked that. Okay. So, yeah, I can only assume that she probably has to not stick around, so either she's gonna die or get pushed off screen like they do with some other characters.
I could tell you what happened unless you want to see it for yourself.
I'll see it for myself. I'm sure that what I'm guessing happened probably is the thing, but just in case I'm wrong, just in case they really surprise me, I guess I'll save it. But, for me, I really liked, one of the really things I liked about season 2 was the really depressing ending with, like, one of Clementine's friends, her little, sheltered friend, where it's like, no matter what you do, this chick will never make it. And I'm such a white knight, like, I'm such a good guy character that I'm like, no, I have to save, I gotta save. And that game is basically teaching me, like, what are you doing, you dumbass? Like, sometimes you just can't save somebody. So I kind of like that the game was trying to teach me by bashing me over the head, like, you stupid son of a bitch, stop trying to save absolutely everyone, you're never gonna do it. So I did kind of like that aspect. But then they'll have side characters like, that will make dumb decisions like, oh, we're gonna give, we feel bad for killing this kid's entire family, so we're gonna bring him along and give him a gun. Yeah. And I'm like, what?
That seems like a terrible idea.
And then they're like, oh, come with us, Clem. I'm like, yeah, I killed one of his parents. Like, I personally killed one of his parents. There's no way me and this guy are gonna be friends. So you can either fuck off, or, you know, whatever. But then they're trying to steal food. It's like, why are they all of a sudden doing this? It feels like a forced tension. And it's moments like that make me not like season 2 as much as season 1, but I still really like season 2 a lot.
Well, and they tried to establish this big villain with Carver, because they even brought Michael Madsen in to voice him. And it's like, okay, you get this big actor, and maybe he just didn't have enough time to do the whole season, but you kill him off, 3 episodes into the season, and then the rest of the story just kind of sags after that. It's like, okay, what's the main tension? Is just just do what you did in the first game, survive. But it felt like they had a really good hook that they could work with, and they just undercut themselves in the last minute, kind of thing.
It feels like they have the same problem that they have with the new season, where Joan is going to be probably the big villain, and it's like she's going to be the main villain kind of out of nowhere, I'm guessing.
Well, but at least that feels like they're building up to something. Like it's weird where they're building up to Carver, and then they resolve that story so quickly that at least this new season, it's building up to be a season-long arc. That's at least the benefit.
Well, I initially kind of liked that with Carver because I was like, whoa, in episode 3 we take care of him. That is surprising. Like, I really didn't feel like his story would end there. But you're right, they should have replaced it with something else at the end of it so that we could stay invested a little bit more.
Well, then that sounds like you're trying to get more close to what the actual show does, where you have half seasons.
Half seasons, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And even like the thing they did where it's like, oh, the 400 Days DLC, you better save those characters because they'll show up in Season 3. And I expected that to play out to something. And it's like...
Oh, fuck off 400 Days DLC. Fuck you. Oh, these characters are going to be super important. Oh, eat my ass. They ended up being so literally, they have like background cameos. Like, hey, they walk around the background like, oh, see, there's that guy, and that's all we get out of that. Like, 400 Days was such a fucking ripoff of a DLC.
Of all the people to carry on the story with, why Bonnie? She's like the least interesting of those people in that story.
Yeah, but yeah. Speaking of oh no, we're not going to get to Game of Thrones yet because I was going to say speaking of disappointments. Let's talk about Tales from the Borderlands.
Not a disappointment.
Okay, this one actually it really vies for The Walking Dead for my favorite Telltale game. Just because I think
it's
my favorite too.
You know what? It actually I can play it more than The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is a little depressed. I can't replay it all the time.
That's why you want me to do it.
Yeah. It's like, okay, you're gonna play episode 5 of The Walking Dead, and I'm gonna leave the room because I can't watch. But Tales from the Borderlands, oh my god. I know that their humor is their bread and butter, but nowhere have they done it better than Tales from the Borderlands. Even their long fucking gaps between episodes were funny, where they start up with like, yeah, we know, we're late. Get over it, you sons of bitches. You have damn bloodsuckers. And they use music to the point, like these great soundtracks to the point where it happens in Guardians of the Galaxy, it almost makes sense. Like, it makes complete sense that they're making the Guardians of the Galaxy game. Like, oh yeah, totally. It's basically Tales from the Borderlands, but just with the Guardians of the Galaxy characters.
Yeah.
And yeah, in that one, it introduces so many great elements. They introduce 2 main characters.
Which is fantastic.
That are narrating the series, but they're both unreliable narrators to the point where they both will tell huge extravagant lies at certain points, and they only, the only times they tell the truth is when they call each other on it.
Right.
So during the whole time, yeah, and so even the whole time you're always kind of questioning, wait, is this actually what happened, or is this kind of their weird version of what happened? Because you're never quite sure. And the running jokes that they bring up, like Loaderbot, I did not expect to love a robot as much that didn't whisper, I am Superman at the end. Because Loaderbot is amazing. I love him, I want a little plushie of him, and I need it right now.
It's amazing they took a generic bad guy from Borderlands 2, where it's like, yeah, there's a million loader bots you fight in that game, and somehow they infused him with so much, like, personality out of nothing. Like, all it is just references to movies and, simple robot lines, but they made him such an endearing character, and it's just like, yeah, I want a loader bot too. That would be so awesome to have this guy around, my personal murder droid that can take out all the bad guys and quote Mortal Kombat to me like he does in that game.
Well, geez, I mean, you actually had the option pretty early on of, like, basically destroying Loaderbot, and, of course, we didn't make the decision because we're not monsters.
Who would do that? Yeah, seriously.
Our other co-host, Kyle, did that.
Yeah, we forced him to do that. We forced him to do it.
He chose to do that, I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, I will name my firstborn son Loaderbot. Yeah, and we get all, like, where the side characters of Season 2 of Walking Dead were a little lackluster, almost every character you run into in Borderlands is this bright, vibrant character that is very memorable.
Even the small ones.
Even the super small ones that only get small time on screen. And of course we have the great duo Troy Baker and Laura Bailey that are amazing Telltale alums now, basically. They constantly show up in the games. And Nolan North becoming a regular now as Augustus, as one of my favorite bad guys ever. He might be one of the most likable bad guys I've ever met.
He's interesting, I'll give you that.
But he's not even that much a bad guy. Like, he's only bad because he's with bad people who are worse than him, pretty much.
Well, it's all relative in the Borderlands universe, because you were playing the relatively sane people in the Borderlands world.
Who, I swear they must have not actually ever been to Pandora.
Well, they are. It's weird how averse to violence they are, because it's like, don't you live on the most violent planet ever? And you guys seem really like, oh man, that's really gross. Like, shouldn't you see worse things every day?
Well, yeah, but that's also probably the smartest decision they did for the whole story, is making your player characters not, psychos, not vault hunters, not bounty hunters. It makes you relate to them more as people in this insane world. Because you're like, yeah, if I was this guy looking at all these crazy, vans crashing into people and splattering them into gooey puddles and that stuff, I would react the same way.
But yeah, I really I appreciate the cast. Sir Patrick Warburton, I should say.
Wait, Sir Patrick Warburton? Is he
I have now knighted him, Patrick Warburton, because that man, oh my god, the moment he opens his mouth, I'm just like, this is the best thing ever. I love him, and the Athena actually showing up and being much more of a character than she ever was in the pre-sequel.
Yep.
Her relationship with Jenny is hilarious, and I'm like, oh my god, that's adorable, and really connects me to her as a character. It makes me invested in her living at the end of the pre-sequel, actually. And it's weird because Borderlands is not a game series where I would go, man, if only they would expand the story of Borderlands and really give it its due, rather than all this stupid gameplay. Because it's like, when I play Borderlands, I play for the guns and the fucking crazy. And, I play for some of the humor, but it's still, it's coded in this, this machismo gun thing. And to focus so heavily on this crazy world and the comedy between these characters, it really is, something to behold, and I can't recommend it highly enough. If that doesn't sell you, there's a moment at the end where they do a Power Rangers / Voltron, culmination at the end of it.
Awesome.
It is amazing. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that as someone who, a 90s kid who used to watch old Power Rangers episode, that's what accumulates. That's how effective, who I bring with me is dependent on how I fight and all that crazy jazz. I love it. So fantastic. And the references, all the references.
So many references.
Oh, yeah. So many throughout this whole game, and they're awesome. They're so good whenever they come up.
Yeah. But I feel like we're getting too high. We have to bring ourselves down.
I have one more high thing to say. Before,
okay. One more. You get one.
Okay. Well, okay. 2, 3.
2. You get 2.
Okay. The people who surprised me the most in this game, because we didn't mention this guy, Chris Hardwick playing the best friend character, whatever his name is, nerdy guy.
I totally forgot about him. Yes.
I never would have suspected that he would actually be that good at being the buddy character, because he's just so natural in this game. He's so funny.
You're my bro. Yeah, bro.
Bro.
We're in this together, bro.
No, that was great. But then the one thing that surprised me the most of this, as funny a game as it is, as witty and silly and cynical as the game is, the thing that caught me off guard the most is how good the emotional beats are. Mm-hmm. So much so that the thing that kept me going more than the actual plot was the romantic arc that they developed with the main character and Sasha, the sister of Fiona's character.
Yeah, that was interesting too, is that you can develop the romantic arc not between the two main characters, but one of the side characters of the other main character's plot. And I was just like, oh, that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And it came out of nowhere. It's like, this actually is totally organic. There's nothing forced about it at all.
I'm going to put this flower in your hair. Okay.
Oh, so sweet, so adorable. Even so much so, I loved, they called back to that in the final episode, just yeah, I heard about that flower thing, I almost vomited.
and of course, we get the great character relationship between those two, Sasha and, her sister, Fiona. Yeah. Their relationship with their surrogate father betraying them, they're dealing with that. We have the, what's his name? Damn it, what's Troy Baker's character's name? I forget.
Reese.
Reese, that's right. And he's trying to, get ahead at Hyperion and get ahead in the corporate world. And they, of course, bring back my favorite character ever, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
This may be the best handsome Jack stuff ever in any Borderlands game.
They give Jack so much time to shine here because he's on screen. You get to see him animated and actually delivering the dialogue rather than just being a voice on an intercom. He is devious. He is malicious, psychotic,
and yet you just want to trust him.
And you want to if you want to go with him, you want to go just like, man, I want to just go with you just to see what you do.
Right.
I just want to see where this goes.
We know it's a terrible idea, but
I mean, it's like I'm 90% sure you're gonna kill me, but I'm so fascinated. And as far as butt stallion references, like
this is the ultimate one.
Oh my god, I can't believe it shocked me to my core in a weird way. But
and he has one of the best fourth wall breaking jokes in the whole game, where you're riding on top of the van and he's having that conversation with you, and at one point the so and so will remember this. That line comes up, and he actually looks at it and goes, "What the heck is that?
The fuck is that?"
Yeah, and I'm just like, "Whoa, wait, what? What is he talking about?"
And again, it was such great intro musics of when they're going up on the ship and they playing back to the top, and I'm like, oh my god, this is perfect. I could watch that.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The second episode with Kiss the Sky, I think, with it, with the
that was
where
so
it's
good.
during the crash. I could watch any of those intro sequences. I could watch any of them over and over again.
But it seemed like it got progressively longer into the game where they actually started.
Well, that third one, you get you're almost a third of the way into the game before it actually happens, and I'm like, oh, we're doing this. Oh, that's right. Here are the credits. Yes, they get pretty liberal with that, but we are getting too high, so let's bring ourselves down. Let's talk about Game of Thrones for a minute. So Game of Thrones, okay. Telltale, I won't say that after The Walking Dead, there have been stumbles, but nowhere do I feel like that's more true than in Game of Thrones and in the Batman game. And for Game of Thrones, it's actually kind of a different reason for me, because Batman, most of it is the technical shit, where their growing pains of their engine are just becoming more and more apparent. In Game of Thrones, it's actually some narrative stuff that I'm literally sitting here trying to remember and trying to tell you something really significant that happened, that really struck with me and struck a chord with me, and I'm having a hard time. I only have a couple really big moments that I can really think of.
Well, the reason why is because all the beats in that game are essentially everything that happens in the show, just with these new characters. Because it's essentially, Game of Thrones is a giant fan fiction, more so than anything else Telltale's ever done. It feels like they just went, okay, these are the plot points from the show, insert character here to talk to character here. And it's just awkward. Like, as much as I liked the original characters they wrote, all the scenarios they gave them were just so generic. It's like, okay, here's the character who's the lowly servant who becomes a warrior. Here's the character who's the lord of the house and the new lord of the house, and then here's the servant character. I don't blame you for forgetting that stuff. I'm struggling trying to remember a lot of it too. I'm just like,
a lot of decisions I make, I'm not really morally questioning anything. I'm actually analytically trying to make them, because there's a choice between two main characters you have to make, which is Asher and whatever his other brother's name is. And I find Asher...
Roderick.
What's that?
Roderick. Yeah, that was the other
Roderick. And I find Asher is like, okay, Asher is a more interesting character. He has more of an interesting arc. He has more of a personality. He has an interesting thing with the rival house where he used to have this romantic thing going on with one of the other girls of the rival house. And I'm like, wow, I should really, stick with him because he'd probably be more interesting, except for that in game, it makes no sense to pick him. Because Roderick makes way more sense as the head of the household.
Really? I thought that Asher was the more logical choice, because Roderick, by that point, it felt like his story was kind of over. Like, narratively speaking, it made more sense for him to die so Asher to take over, but then it doesn't matter.
No, that's totally what I'm saying, is that narratively, it totally works. But strategically, like if I'm actually the head of the house and I want to keep someone that would keep the house together and would actually do a good job of it, and is proven to be actually pretty good at it, it would actually be Roderick. So like I'm choosing between like what's well, this would actually be way more interesting narratively, and then this one is, logically the better choice. And more times, I like it when Telltale's manages to make both choices narratively interesting, rather than just only one choice narratively interesting.
Yeah.
And, the bad guys are pretty generic. They're evil just because they're evil.
Yeah, and they try to give them, sympathetic motivations, but by that point, it's pretty much too late, because you never feel like you care about those villains enough after that point.
And they bring on Ramsey, and they bring on a lot of the same voice actors from the show, but I don't know, the voice actors are not bringing their A game to the video game, I don't think.
Well, because nothing they're doing is significant. All the scenes that they show up in are the in-between scenes between choices or big narrative moments. So it's you talk to Tyrion during something else that he's not involved with, or you talk to Cersei for a minute to lead up to a different choice you make later on. It feels like it's just crowbarred into the story. You never feel like you care about these characters. They don't give you a reason narratively why these characters should care about these people. It's why should...
Yeah, and then as far as the ending goes, this might be the most sequel-beggy fucking Telltale game I've ever seen, where it resolves almost nothing. I'm just well, really? We're not going to resolve any plot? And then the plot points it does resolve, I thought the handmaiden character was actually one of the most interesting characters in the game, to where
Seriously?
No, I literally am okay, she's actually involved and actually could do the most damage with her relations in King's Landing. And I thought, if it could go somewhere to where if they would allow her to affect the plot in any way, she could actually do some significant damage. But then they end her arc where it's nope, nothing you did ever mattered, nothing you do will ever matter, and the only two ways you make it out are either you can die or go into a situation that's basically almost like death.
Yeah.
And I'm what was the point of this character then? I thought this character had a lot of potential. She's handmaiden to Marjorie, one of the more interesting characters. She interacts with Cersei and Tyrion. She's in King's Landing. She has a fucking, murder plot to go with. There's a lot of interesting stuff there, and they drop it all at the end for almost no reason. I do not understand that.
Yeah, no, and the same thing happened with my favorite character, which was Gareth, whatever his name is, Garrett, the stable guy who becomes a night watchman. And I think out of every character they brought in the game, he was the most sympathetic immediately, because he had a clear goal. He lost his family. He wants revenge on the White Hills, or whatever the name are. And then they sent him to the wall, and it could have been an interesting story, but it feels like, one, they clearly want him to be the main character of the next game, but two, nothing else he did was significant to the story either. It's okay, you send him off to the most remote part of the world to do this stuff that could have been cool, but then you drop almost half of it. It's yeah, these side characters we were developing a relationship with, kill them off. This thing that was going on with the grove or whatever that you're trying to find, we'll figure it out later. It's so underwhelming the way they end his arc for a character who I really, really liked and sympathized with the entire time.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, because they have it on the slate here, Game of Thrones Season 2 is to be announced. And I'm not sure what that means, or how far in production they are. I know they're probably hard at work at their other two games right now, so we won't see that anywhere near in the immediate future. But mark it down as probably the most disappointing Telltale game I probably have played. And their next release, of course, I only played the first episode. I think with
one last thing on Game of Thrones too. Not only is it disappointing in the narrative sense, I think it's their ugliest looking game too, because the art style they choose with this weird watercolor effect thing, it just never looks good in Game of Thrones. They do better with kind of cartoon abstract concepts, but here it just felt awkward. I don't know. Do you guys agree with me on that one?
Well, it was a match made in heaven for Borderlands, where that cell shaded look, that's right up their alley. That's exactly where they're at and what their engine can handle. And Walking Dead, they always manage to go and make it look kind of more like the comic than anything else. And Game of Thrones, they don't really have anything visually to base it off of other than the show, so it has a weird in-between look that does not work for it very well. It's a muted color palette of just watered down paint.
especially when you see like what Marjorie's face looks like, where they try to capture her eyes, and it just looks hideous the way they did it.
It's very visually uninteresting. But yeah, the Minecraft story mode, which will be their next release. I've only played the first episode, I think, with Kyle, and I had fun with it. I'm actually looking forward to playing more of it. I can't really speak too much more of it, except for the fact that this is the first one where you can pick either a boy or a girl to play. So that's fun.
But why would you not pick Patton Oswalt? I'm just saying.
Patton Oswalt's the boy?
Yeah, that's the main character, is Patton Oswalt.
What? Oh my god, I did not know that.
The best friend character is one of those actors that he hires for every other comedic bit. The big burly dude with a beard.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Sarah, one of the Sarah Silverman's go-to guys, I think too. We picked the girl on accident. Like, we didn't realize it was a girl until until we saw a couple of lines of dialogue. I was like, oh, I didn't even know Patton Oswalt was an option. But, wow. Yeah, it has some real fun moments. Even for me, I've not played one single minute of Minecraft. And proud of it.
Well, there's not really much to play of Minecraft per se.
No.
I mean, there is an exploration mode, but
I've not spent one virtual minute in Minecraft, and I still enjoyed the
if
first...
you played Terraria, a rip-off of Minecraft, that's almost worse.
Is that worse?
It's worse.
I feel like I didn't sink in much time. I didn't create a Star Destroyer in Terraria.
But you also did nothing in Terraria, so...
I murdered monsters in Terraria. I got weapons and upgraded. It's a light RPG. But, anyway, we're not talking about actual Minecraft, we're talking about story mode. Justin, have you played all of story mode then?
No, I'm still making through the final few episodes, but, when you were saying, Minecraft, you haven't played any minute of it either. I haven't played it at all, but this just proves again that, as honest trailers will always say, Telltale can literally make a game of anything. Or even nothing. Like, literally, there's no story to Minecraft. The fact they can make story is impressive. And, playing the episodes I have, it's a fun, it's like playing Minecraft. It's fun, it's breezy, it's well produced for the game it is, but it's not like the greatest Telltale game ever. It's just, it's fun. It's something that you can play with your kids and go, yeah, hey, I get what they like about this game, for the most part.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it more, hopefully. So, let's move on to their next release, which was the Walking Dead Michonne. It happened, dude. It released. Okay, let's talk about Batman then. But no, the Walking Dead Michonne, I wasn't as disappointed as I feel like other people were, but I definitely thought, compared to the other Walking Dead seasons, this doesn't really hold a candle. And the biggest problem is that it forces you to spend more time with one of the TV characters, and that's never a good thing, because the TV characters are boring and inconsistent. And Michonne is the most interesting out of all of them, so this one should have worked. But it spends a little too much time on the whole backstory of, I have a tragic backstory. And I'm like, yeah, but we know it already. I've watched the show. I know your backstory. And I get it. And they reveal a little bit more about it in this game, but otherwise it's just more new characters that you don't really care about or remember, and it culminates in, this one's only 3 episodes long, so you don't get as long as time to set up, big story decisions and really feel the weight of your decisions as much. I don't know. There's a lot working against this particular installment of the series. What were your thoughts on it, Justin?
My thoughts were I didn't finish it because I got bored halfway through, and it's kind of the same thing where it's like,
fair.
I think the problem is that they expect you to go in already knowing what you're playing. Where it's like, oh yeah, you know Michonne from the TV show, you know Michonne from the comics, you've played Walking Dead games before. What else do we need to tell you? Just jump in and enjoy. And it felt like there wasn't enough there to make me care, because all the decisions are so minor too. It feels like where Walking Dead feels like normally they have big life or death decisions. Here, they're kind of there, but you don't care enough. It's like, oh, does the brother live, or do I let him die, or does this thing with the bad guy on the ship and all that stuff? It's just so bland. That's just the biggest problem with it. I mean, and nothing against the woman playing Michonne. What's her name? It's the woman from Orange is the New Black who played Pusey or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
She's good in it. It's just whatever kind of thing.
Yeah, I really like her as a Pusey in Orange is the New Black. But yeah, ultimately a pretty forgettable entry. So, But yeah, their next series, was not as quite as forgettable, but probably a little bit as infamous, was the Batman the Telltale series. This one, I feel like it really, really surprised me with how good its story was and how much I was actually really invested with it. The real problem is that I just get jettisoned out because of some of those. It depends on when I play it. Sometimes I would wait a week to play the episode, and then they'd have enough time to patch it, and I'd be like, oh man, this was fun. And then some episodes, like the last episode I played before the patch happened, and I'd get invisible people and shit. So you know what? I actually want to go back and play it again now that it's all done and out to see how it would play all the way through with the patches. But this was the most egregious of the put it out and we'll patch it later from the Telltale series. And that is, I feel like that is not a great business model for them, and it does not inspire trust in the customers when they have to wait for you to fix a game every time it launches an episode. Yeah, what were your thoughts on the game's release, Justin?
Sorry, my internet cut out there for a second. What did you guys say?
Oh, sorry, did we cut out? I was just asking you, what were your thoughts on the initial release of Batman, the Telltale series, and the bugs and patches that it had to go through?
I mean, I didn't really have a huge problem with the bugs. Like, I mean, maybe it was just me, but there were a few times, like, the game would stutter a lot more. There'd be times when the game would crash. I think I had 1 or 2 crashes in my game, or when the button prompts wouldn't register properly. It didn't hinder my enjoyment because I actually did like the main story overall. Like, it had one weak episode, which was the 4th one, and that only mattered to me a lot because that was my first big Telltale game I started reviewing with oneofus.net for. When I joined in for their Batman discussion. And I just found the technical issues were not as dramatic, but maybe I played them at the right time when patches were in, or maybe just my system worked fine. But I just remember the technical issues because John would not shut up about them on One of Us. Like, he was pissed anytime those issues are not coming up. It was kind of amusing.
I believe Telltale Fix Your Shit was mentioned quite many a time.
Yeah, I think at least 5. You could play a drinking game with it at some point.
But I thought the story of the Telltale's Batman was actually really interesting. They make Batman a very different character. They make him much more of a, I mean, I'm not sure how to describe it. I think it's much more, you're never really Batman in it. You're really actually playing a very Bruce Wayne centric story involving stuff with his parents, and his parents not being these paragons of virtue that he first thought they were. Your relationship really is fleshed out with Harvey Dent and how that falls apart, and really goes the wrong way. Your relationship with Selina Kyle is actually pretty interesting, and develops in a way where you actually I actually believe a relationship between these two could actually work, which is something I never think about the actual Batman and Catwoman, because you guys will have fun, but eventually Catwoman will go back to stealing stuff, and you'll go don't stop doing that. And I felt like
it helps they wrote those characters so well. You know what I mean? And that Troy Baker and what's her name who plays Catwoman?
Laura Bailey are back. Yeah, and
they have great chemistry with each other. That's the whole thing too. That helps.
That really helps them out, and it really introduces some great stuff with Alfred is really good in this as the surrogate father figure. They do some interesting stuff with Lucius Fox. Penguin is a very interesting reinterpretation of the Penguin.
And I also love they casted John Cena as Harvey Dent in this game.
That is pretty. I love how huge Harvey Dent is. He's so fucking big. I'm just like, whoa, Jesus! When he's actually kind of this sniveling little weakling in the beginning of the game, where he's like, "Oh man, help me, Bruce." How are you not more confident? Look at you, you're huge, you motherfucker. Let's just get up there and get in people's faces.
That was still my favorite bit from that first episode, and I joked about it in the review, where it's like, yeah, Harvey Dent's this big tough guy, supposedly, but when he's talking to Falcone with you, he's just sitting in the corner like a good boy, just don't say anything, Harvey.
And, I like that. I like the fact that they can surprise you, like what happens with Falcone, like a big namesake character in the Batman mythos, and he just gets shot. like in the face, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like out of nowhere, and I was like, "Damn!" It really woke me up out of the scene. I was just like, "That I did not see that coming. That was really interesting." And with a character like Renee Montoya giving her something to do, and James Gordon's is always fun. I thought like I wish that their patch system, like they'd really had their shit together in that aspect, because I feel like this might have been one of their highest rated games if they had just focused a little more on their technical stuff, because the story elements are there. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. And I just was sad to see it kind of dragged down by some of this technical shit that should have been really easily taken care of.
Yeah, it also was a problem that some of their gameplay decisions weren't fully formed. Like, it felt like they were trying to, in the Jurassic Park way, they were trying to experiment a couple new ideas, like the detective mode stuff, the planning out the attacks in these long sequences kind of thing. And I mentioned this in the review too, the fact that they're not always clear at telling you how to do some of these things. They just kind of assume you know what they're talking about. And I think that was something maybe partly with their technical problems, but it's just like, oh, I didn't even know that was an option to do this, because the game didn't say anything about it in the first place.
Yeah, there was a segment where you can choose to have Catwoman team up with you during a fight, but it doesn't expressly state the button to use to have Catwoman team up with you. So instead, I ended up just beating up all the thugs by myself. And she was like, "Oh, I guess you didn't need me, whatever." And I was like, "Oh, sorry." I mean, at least it is. It does follow up with a joke, but I'm like, yeah, I didn't even know that was even a thing that I could have done. I could have chose to have her team up with me on that. But yeah, a very interesting game. I actually want to go back and play it and kind of play a different way, because it has like a couple, like, its ending sequences. You can choose to play it a couple different ways based off of who you choose to face off with.
Yeah.
So I kind of actually want to really go back and see how that plays out the other way around.
I will say though too, the only thing narratively I wasn't crazy about, like, completely, is that I think their Joker was okay. Because, I mean, obviously the Joker shows up because, shock, it's Batman. But, because the guy who plays him, I mean, again, my IMDb movie knowledge here, it's Anthony Ingruber, who does the Han Solo impersonations on YouTube. You know, those really good ones back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that guy.
He's fine, but it feels like they're still, again, they're trying to be like, well, we don't want to do too much with him yet. He's going to be the guy in the next game that you fight, which will surely get made, right, guys? It felt a little too much of that for me.
Sure. Well, and I thought it was also an interesting decision to make. You can decide what Gotham really thinks about the Batman and Bruce Wayne at the same time, of like, okay, so am I this dangerous vigilante, or am I this symbol of hope? So that was pretty interesting. Anyway, to wrap up, we'll talk about, we've been going on for a while now, but we'll quickly talk about The Walking Dead: The New Frontier, because you guys have talked it quite a bit on the We Are Error podcast. So I would direct you listeners there if you'd like to hear the full thoughts on it. I just want to mention that I'm also caught up, and I'm quite enjoying it. Looking forward to playing the new episode that's out tonight, I think.
It came out a few days ago, didn't it? Or no, yesterday, right?
I think it was it was yesterday. And as far as this one goes, you are no longer playing as Clementine as the main character. You're playing as a new character. I'm surprised how much that does not bother me, because I thought that would be a really big sticking point with me, but actually kind of really like it. I kind of like seeing this other character that I've known a lot as this very established side character. Kind of reminds me of Hawk from Dragon Age Inquisition, when you see her as a PC, as a PC character, and I'm like NPC, yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. It adds some weight to this. I like Javi. I like his relationship with his brother. It's really complicated and very nuanced. The only thing I gotta disagree with most of the We Are Error crew is that David is a very interesting character, but he's a shitty person, and you guys are way wrong for trusting him the way you guys are.
Well, I mean, that's more John, to be fair. Like, he more than any of us really, like, empathized with this game, and I think it's partly, his own background, like, how he sympathized with the story. But,
sure.
I think that, like, David, at least, it's the fact that you can even possibly trust him that makes it more interesting, because on the outset, he is kind of a bad dude. Like, he's really not a well-put-together human being emotionally, but they fool you with the things like, yeah, well, I only do this because I love you, and I think that, you are my brother. I really care. I just wish that you would listen, you retard.
And I love it because they do make me doubt it, and that's the great Telltale writing of it, because he is an emotionally manipulative guy to the point where you will never earn his respect. Like, if you have saved his family for like 4 years, was it? You're
2, 3, something like that.
2 or 3, like, for years, where he didn't even come back to the house. He didn't even come back to the house to check on them. Just wrote them off as dead. And what's the first thing he does? Is like, well, I guess you didn't fuck this up. Like, that's how grateful he is. That's how much of respect he will ever, it's only downhill from there. And he is the worst type of person, because his love is conditional. It's based off of if you're agreeing with him at the time, and if you're not pissing him off too much. And for me, I was actually really ready by the end of episode 2, where I'm kind of hooking up with his wife, and I'm like, oh shit, I finally found my brother again, and it was just about the time where me and his wife are hooking up. That's awkward. And I'm like, okay, if she wants to get back with him, then that's cool. I'm gonna back off, because it's already complicated in this zombie apocalypse. I don't need to add on tensions to this. But as soon as she wakes up, she's all on we need to get the fuck out of here. And it's like, what, really? Like, no. One of the best things about the zombie apocalypse is that I didn't have to be with that asshole anymore. So we're getting the fuck out of here. I'm like, okay, you would know better than me. You've spent way more time with him than I have. But, yeah, we'll see how that works out in the next 2 episodes. There's only 2 left, right? There's another 5 episoder?
Yeah, so this new one, and then the one that will come out later, so.
Yeah, so we will see for that. And the Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale, we just did a Let's Play of it, and you guys will be talking about it tonight on the We Are Errorcast, right?
Yeah, that is true.
And that'll probably show up sometime this weekend or next week if I know their release schedule. So
yeah,
guys,
they usually do like a week after, I think. That's usually the release.
Yeah, so guys, look forward to that, and look forward to me and Justin's review on Mass Effect Andromeda. And I think we can wrap it up right there, I think, unless, Justin, you have anything else to add?
I mean, I just say that, whether the ups and downs of Telltale, however they go, I still think that, again, they are doing some of the best writing of any game. And I've talked to a lot of people who don't like Telltale for that reason, where it's like, all they do is just make interactive movies, and then occasionally you press a few buttons to fight a guy. Mm-hmm. And, yes, that's true, but for me, that makes the game more important. I mean, I could play a game with good gameplay, but if I don't have a reason to care to play, then it's hard for me to be motivated. So here it's like, yeah, it's minimal gameplay input, but I love these characters. I love their dialogue. It never feels overly cheesy or forced. It feels like they really think this stuff out, and that's why they continue to gain my support. They really care about these people, and it could be easy just to fart away some of these things like, it's Marvel, we'll just make money off of it because people will buy it because they're stupid. But no, even Guardians of the Galaxy, without saying too much that I won't say in my review already, they show they really want to make this work. They really want to make a good Marvel story. So, yeah, Telltale, they're pretty good. Just stick with them, and they'll prove you wrong most of the time.
Well, I always like to say that them and BioWare, they are like they're the best cheaters in the game, and because they can. Their writing is because you're making decisions off of what your dialogue and what your relationships are. Everything is tailored to how you want it, making it so much more satisfying for you every time. Because when you have 3 options, it's hard to not have one that you'll at least like, if not just love, out of those options.
Yeah, you might say the dialogue is Jacob tailored to you.
Oh, fuck you, Justin. That shit will not slide here. You keep that shit on the We Are Aircast where it belongs. We have standards here, my friend.
We do?
Yes, since 30 seconds ago we do.
That was the limit.
That was the limit on it.
Things change so fast.
But yeah, before we wrap it up, I want to hear this. Do anyone have any properties they want to see Telltaled?
Dark Souls series.
You want to see a Telltale Dark Souls?
If they can make a game out of anything, I want to see them make a story out of that.
Because it has none.
Because
Great.
it doesn't have
I can't
one.
imagine a Dark Souls character making a joke. That's the thing that troubles me.
That's true.
Troy Baker is an endless one. How about you, Justin? You got any good ideas?
I mean, I've been wanting them to do a Mass Effect Telltale game forever because I'm a Mass Effect fanboy, of course. But
I'm right there with you, buddy. I want to see I want to see a prequel with Archangel on the Omega, where it's a Telltale version of it, or a lot of the, or maybe even an ensemble cast, kind of like with some of the previous squad mates, not unlike Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, like something that's not galaxy threatening, just like a story about people who are living their lives in this universe. That'd be cool. And if not that, adapt Matt Fraction's Hawkeye into a Telltale series, because that sounds perfect. Like that's tailor made for a Telltale type story. This like down to earth superhero style thing. That could be really cool.
Mm-hmm. And as far as my pitch, if we're doing the Marvel stuff, can we get a Telltale Deadpool game at all? I feel like that would be fun. Some fourth wall breaking, you know, like talking about the dialogue wheel and like, oh, you're gonna
pick that one.
You're gonna pick that one? No, this is the one we're going with, you dumbass.
That would be funny. That would. I'm just picturing it now. I want to play that now.
Deadpool, remember that. Yeah, you say that, but I'm not gonna.
He really will.
Who the frick picks silence? Nobody picks
silence.
The silence option.
I'm the merc with a mouth, motherfucker.
Well, the option is just stitch his mouth shut.
Oh, you dick!
Breaks the dialogue wheel in half.
Oh, you're not gonna Wolverine Origins me, you son of a bitch. But yes, thank you so much for coming on, Justin. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Oh, happy to be on. You guys are a lot of fun to talk to, so.
Of course, we'll have to have you on again at some point and talk about some other fandom I'm sure we share a passion for.
Throw a dart. We'll hit one.
But until then, would you like to tell people where they can find you on oneofus.net and find your stuff and your reviews and stuff like that?
Well, you can find me on oneofus.net, like you said. But yes, I do a lot of subscriber content. So the Breakfast Pub comes out weekly, or as much weekly as possible, depending on Chris Cox's schedule. So you can listen to that if you subscribe for only a few dollars every month. Then you can find me on We Are Arrow every now and then, depending on what reviews they want me for. And that's usually, weekly, bi-weekly, depending on the review, depending on their main email show. And you know what? Just check out the great content on oneofus.net. It's a small site, but it's a really good site with some dedicated people and some really fun content that you can check out. Otherwise, you can find me on Facebook at Justin Zarian. And, I occasionally post up stuff there. You'll usually find me more active during Oscar season, as you probably saw on oneofus.net, where I post up these big prediction podcasts and articles and stuff like that. And yeah, otherwise just seek me out and you'll find me pretty easy. I mean, how many other Zarians do you know on the internet?
Sure. I'm sure your Oscar predictions are a lot more interesting than mine, which are just who gives a shit.
I give one, thank you.
Because awards are bullshit. But that's just cynical me. And as far as a subscriber, of oneofus.net, I could tell you guys it is really worth it. It's worth your time to check it out. And as far as the Breakfast Pub goes, you keep having the We Are Air guys on there. You might as well just make that the subset of the We Are Air podcast.
They should just call it We Are Breakfast.
We Are Breakfast? I like it. But with that, thank you again for coming on, and we will see you next time. We will be back to our regular scheduled programming right after this musical break.
I hold my head up just enough to see the sky. And when we go, we won't go slow. We'll put up such a fight. When they fade into the dust and into air. But all the children know for sure this pain will surely pass.
Yes, anyway, welcome back to the UGO podcast. Hope you enjoyed that talk with Justin. It was an absolute pleasure talking with him. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Talk some tales with him indeed.
Many, many tales.
And now the tale of this podcast has come to an end, so you have to join us next week as we continue our geek tales and go into different Guardians of the Galaxy. Hopefully we can have a more in-depth update for you on our feelings on Guardians of the Galaxy next week. And with that, I just want to remind you guys, if you are listening to the podcast, always click that subscribe button on iTunes. It would help us out. Maybe give us a review on iTunes if you have the time. Give us those 5-star reviews, and we'll read whatever goes on the on those review boxes on the air, word for word. That is my guarantee. And if you would like to get in touch with us in any other way, maybe talk to us about your favorite Telltale games or whatever we left off the list, something you wanted us to talk about, or just have a general question, you can email us at unapologeticgeekout@gmail.com. Leave us a message on our Facebook page. You can follow us at Twitter at UGO Podcast. And Instagram's the same thing. Keep a lookout for that because we're going to be doing a lot of convention work, like I was saying earlier, and we'll be doing a lot more stuff with the Instagram in a couple months. And like always, definitely give our YouTube channel a look. We have our Let's Plays going up, and soon we will have more previous, because we have some PlatCon coverage that I'm now editing, and it will finally go up, and we'll have a little more video content soon coming. So keep an eye out for that. And with that, I think we can just say good night, good evening, and see you next time. See when we can pick the silence option on the dialogue wheel finally. We don't have to talk anymore. Just Travis is already picking that.
I'm practicing.
He's already practicing hitting that triangle button, that triangle. And with that, we are Unapologetic Geek Out, and we're out.
You never belonged to me.